Certainly, in recent years, we have followed the Russian-Ukrainian war. For those of you interested in news and political and military analyses, you have undoubtedly followed the scenarios put forward by experts as potential ways to end the war. One of the most intriguing topics for channels that simplify science, like ours, has been the news about a bomb called the Electromagnetic Pulse bomb, which some have suggested the Russian military might use to end the war. Since we are talking about a bomb that could potentially end the war, it goes without saying that it must be a terrifying and extremely dangerous bomb. In fact, this bomb has the capability to end not just the war, but civilization as a whole. The bigger problem is that it is a very tempting bomb to use, unlike nuclear bombs, which have only been used twice in history. Those who do not have information about this bomb will likely have some questions. What is the secret of its power, and where does it come from? Or, for example, what is the difference between it and a nuclear weapon if both can end civilization? Why is this bomb specifically so tempting and likely to be used, unlike nuclear bombs? Welcome to a new episode of Unveil the Universe. With the establishment of armies in ancient times, the land forces were the only branch in all the world's armies. Over time, armies evolved to include many other branches besides the land forces. The beginning was with the establishment of the fleet and naval forces, and after a long period, the air forces became an indispensable branch. After the air forces and all the branches that emerged from them, such as air defense, an independent branch similar to space forces was created with the American Star Wars program. Finally, a few years ago, the Electronic Units branch was established. Despite its recent establishment, this branch has entered almost everything, whether in military contributions or even in internal security operations. Some of the tasks of this branch are limited to monitoring public opinion, while others specialize in defense and attack. In the field of information security, this specific branch led to the emergence of the term cyber warfare. Almost every country that excels in this field has had skirmishes against each other. During the Russian-Ukrainian war, Russia carried out an operation called Ukraine's Power Grid Attack, which caused significant damage both civilly and militarily. But wait a minute. A point of order. What is the relationship between information security, cyber warfare, and all this talk to bombs? What does this have to do with the physical bomb I talked about at the beginning? Let me tell you, my friend. Unfortunately, the great developments witnessed by physics and the entire scientific community in recent years have also benefited the military field. Currently, there are discussions and analyses about the possibility of the Russians discovering the secret of the Electromagnetic Pulse bomb. But before I tell you what this weapon can do exactly, let's go back in time, specifically to 1962. After the Soviet Union discovered the secret of the atomic bomb in 1949, America and the Soviet Union began a terrifying race to develop this type of bomb. Explosions were conducted in deserts and remote islands for research and study purposes. In June 1962, the isolated Johnston Atoll in the Indian Ocean was the site of a series of explosions known as Operation Fishbowl. This operation included 5 escalating explosions from the weakest to the strongest. The first explosion passed peacefully, and scientists recorded all the necessary observations. About a month after the first explosion, specifically on July 9th, the second explosion, known as the Starfish Prime explosion, took place. In this test, they planned to detonate a nuclear warhead 100 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. Indeed, around 10 p.m., the rocket carrying the nuclear warhead was launched and exploded at a high altitude above the island. As soon as the nuclear warhead exploded, fireworks lit up the sky. Although Johnston Atoll is about 1,400 kilometers away from Hawaii, the entire archipelago joined the celebration. Unfortunately, the story did not stop at fireworks and festive lights. Almost everything technological in Hawaii was destroyed. Although Hawaii had become the 50th state of the United States, the number of services and infrastructure there was extremely scarce. Of course, the effects were a tsunami of electromagnetic waves that destroyed everything electrical or electronic and ignited fires. The rare lights in the streets went out, and any electrical device, whether a radio, television, or even a fan, fell silent forever. Alarms and watchtowers at military sites screamed for the last time. In short, there were no signs of civilization and modernity in that part of the earth. Of course, by studying the effects caused by the detonation of this nuclear warhead, everything was understood. The violent explosion generated powerful electromagnetic waves that raised the electrical voltage above normal, resulting in the immediate destruction of anything related to electricity. But let me remind you of something important. Those who follow our episodes know that the electromagnetic force is one of the 4 forces in the universe. Under certain circumstances, such as during solar storms or even strong lightning, these electromagnetic pulses are generated and reach the Earth. If any of you have visited countries where such harsh weather conditions prevail, you will know the warnings. Citizens are always advised to disconnect electrical devices and limit the use of mobile phones, among other precautions. As for solar storms, which also lead to the same effect, for example, records indicate that the solar storm recorded on September 2nd, 1859, was one of the terrifying storms that, if it had occurred in our current time with the spread of electronic and electrical devices, would have had catastrophic results. The conclusion is that devices cannot withstand this increase in electrical voltage. Some advanced machines, like airplanes, are prepared for this. The external structure of airplanes is armored and insulated against waves. The important observation about the effects of these strong electromagnetic pulses is that their impact on humans is still unknown. There is no available study that proves any harm to living creatures up to this day. But of course, take note, just in case, under the phrase, "up to this day." That's why it is always advised to keep mobile phones and all devices away, at least during sleep, because a small amount of waves leaks out, and no one can guarantee that a study will come out at any time saying they discovered harms. But the important thing is that since there is no direct or immediate effect on humans at the moment, this forms a great temptation for weapon manufacturers to produce a bomb based on the same idea. The idea of returning any country to the Stone Age without civilian problems is desirable. My important question now is it possible to generate these monstrous electromagnetic waves without using a nuclear weapon? The truth, my friend, is that the answer to the previous question is the one being sought since the Starfish Prime experiment. In fact, efforts were planned to produce 2 types of weapons: an electromagnetic pulse bomb generated by nuclear power called the EMPN, and another of the same type but generated by thermal or light generators known as the EMP. So, we just removed the letter N because the letters EMPN are an abbreviation for the phrase, the nuclear electromagnetic pulse. During the long journey to develop this type of weapon, treaties to limit or ban nuclear weapons began. Based on this, the effort was focused on producing the bomb away from nuclear generation. There are some reports that scientists have successfully produced this type of bomb. But of course, weapons are generally military secrets and are not subject to publication and study in the scientific community. That's why it is not known exactly what results the scientists have reached. On the contrary, in this period, there were reports that the experiments were cancelled. Even the idea of bombs away from nuclear generation was also cancelled. The surprising thing was the reason for the cancellation. It was discovered that even the electromagnetic pulse bomb, which does not rely on nuclear power for its generation, is also catastrophic. They say that the human losses, especially among civilians, will be out of control. The victims are likely to be hundreds of thousands or even millions. Didn't you just say that this type of bomb has no known effects on humans? Well, my friend, I did say that there are no immediate or noticeable effects of the electromagnetic pulse up to this day, but I also told you that this weapon raises the electrical voltage to insane level. The increase in electrical voltage would undoubtedly lead to fires consuming cables and power plants. Most buildings, including skyscrapers, would collapse, unable to withstand the flames. Even reinforced steel wouldn't survive the widespread inferno engulfing everything. Firefighting forces wouldn't stand a chance against an entire city ablaze. Even if, miraculously, some buildings survive, the least we can expect is that all elevators would fail, turning into deadly traps. On the streets, traffic lights would stop functioning, and every car and bus would abruptly break down. Why? Because every vehicle relies on critical electrical circuits for operation. As for electric cars, well, those would fail without question. Add to that high-speed electric trains, which would lose control and derail. Even planes with their protective systems wouldn't hold up against such a powerful electromagnetic surge. They'd crash. Don't forget hospitals, with all their energy-dependent devices. Even if they don't catch fire, they'd go out of service entirely. And then there are battleships, cargo ships, cranes, and other machinery. The list of things powered by electricity is endless. We'd never finish the episode if we tried listing them all. But here's the real question. Have they actually stopped manufacturing this terrifying bomb? Are we safe from its threat? Unfortunately, my friend, I can't assure you 100% safety. It's hard to trust the words of military officials and politicians on matters like these. But I won't scare you 100% either. You're likely to remain as puzzled as everyone else reading about this topic. Here's the issue. At the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war, rumors surfaced about a weapon known as the E-bomb, supposedly owned by some countries, including Russia. All that's known is that it's a limited-range electromagnetic pulse weapon. But the danger isn't just about being limited or powerful. The real threat is that if such a weapon is deployed, it signals open warfare. If Russia were to use the bomb to end the war, Ukraine's allies would likely retaliate with a similar weapon. And just like that, a chain reaction could lead to a global war, plunging us back into the Stone Age. What do you think, my friend? Have they really managed to create this bomb? Or is the hesitation in using it due to fear of mass casualties? Or perhaps they simply couldn't perfect the design, and all leaked news is just rumors? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. See you soon in another informative and intriguing video.